everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to a new video. Sorry we're in my kitchen, but it's just where it's the lightest. I'm stood right by a window, hence why it's a bit shadowy as well. But unfortunately Nelly fell asleep before I could get my ring light out, so we're just going to deal with it. Today I wanted to talk to you about my top 5 baby products that we have loved. Obviously I don't really have a baby anymore, I have a toddler, which is so scary when I think how quickly that time has gone. Yeah, it's just madness. But I thought I would do this quick little video, fingers crossed it's quick and I don't ramble, just sharing my top 5 projects that personally I think are an absolute game changer. We've loved having, we've really used them as well, because you often get a lot of recommendations or you see a lot of things on the market where you feel like you need them and then it turns out they just sit in a corner getting dusty. But the things I'm mentioning in this video we have used and used and used and absolutely love, and where possible we will save it if we can hopefully have more children. If not, then I would definitely buy again given the opportunity. So yeah, if you want to see what my top 5 products are, then just keep watching. So I think the way I'm going to do this video is I'm going to stand here and talk about said products, but I will also film some clips showing you the products as well. So it will be slightly like a voiceover in some parts. I will just say, please bear in mind that each of the items I'm about to mention are very much used. I'm going to talk about our pram, which is covered in mud, so please bear that in mind that it is, yeah, it's a well used product, and yes, I could have cleaned it, but I'm a mum, I haven't got the time to clean it for a video, so apologies, slight disclaimer there. So the first item that I wanted to talk about was the bouncer that we use, and that is the Ingenuity, I think it's called, I never say the word right, the Ingenuity 3-in-1 bouncer. We didn't actually buy this one as the first bouncer we had. We had the, is it the Red Kite Bambino, I think it is. That worked perfect for Nelly when she was small. Like, I would still use that when she was small, like as a newborn, that was perfect. You could pull in the sides enough that she was comfortable. We used it a lot of the time to feed her because she didn't like being fed in somebody's arms. So that worked well for then. Nelly loves the bouncer. She loves sitting and watching Miss Rachel, and sometimes you just need to contain them so you can get stuff done, like just simple things like go to the toilet, you know, just those little things where you can't physically leave them but they're of an age where they aren't going to sit still. You know, it's not like when they're not rolling and you can just leave them on the mat and run and come back, or like put them in a Moses basket or something like that and nip to the loo. Like when they're rolling, when they're moving around, that's just not possible. So yeah, we absolutely loved the first seat we had, but when Nelly got a bit bigger, she was at the weight limit, like she started to look quite uncomfortable in it. We had to look for something else because I wasn't ready to get rid of the bouncer, and so we looked at the Ingenuity 3-in-1. This goes up to, what weight does it go up to? So this seat goes up to £40, so it goes a long way in terms of babies and toddlers. So this is a grow with me type of seat. Obviously, first and foremost, it's a bouncer. It also has a rocker mode as well, which I would imagine is quite helpful when they are slightly younger. If I rocked it now, Nelly would literally probably scream. But maybe when she was younger, she probably would have enjoyed that a little bit more. And then it also has the lock mode, which is more as a toddler seat, so your toddler can sit in it and watch TV. And to be fair, when Nelly wants a sit down, she literally climbs head first. It makes me panic every time, but she'll just flump herself in and sit and be like, okay, I want Miss Rachel now. We're at that stage, so yeah, I know we're going to get a lot of use out of it. She loves it, I love it, and it's perfect. It also comes with a removable like bolster. It won't be shown in my video because that's in the attic, but it comes with it's basically like a newborn type insert. Obviously Nelly was too big to use this, so I just packed it away straight away. And it also came with an arm with like a little, do you call them like mobile, something like that? Like it had toys hanging off of it that would entertain the younger babies as well. But again, we didn't use that in this setting. Everything, aside from the bits that were removable, whether you want it as a bouncer, a rocker, or a stationary chair, everything is already on it, which is great. You don't have all these bits and bobs that you've got to keep swapping out. It all just comes as one, as a chair, with just the removable items that I've mentioned, which is perfect, because there's nothing worse when you're in the throes of early motherhood. You don't want to be trying to work out what you've got to take off a product and put something on to make it do something different. You want it to be easy, and that is definitely what this bouncer is. And the great thing as well, it has a 5-point harness, so baby can relax whilst you multitask nearby. Obviously never leave them in a bouncer for too long, that's just a given. And again, don't leave them for more than a couple of seconds unattended. Just as a safety disclaimer, a quick pop to the loo or something like that, you know, things like that are easy enough to do. But yeah, definitely always keep an eye on them, because you just never know. The other thing I really liked is that the seat pad and the bolster itself, although we didn't use it, they are both machine washable, whereas the bouncer we had first of all was wipe clean only. And if anybody has had a newborn, you'll know that punamis are a thing, and they are so difficult to clean, these bouncers, when they're wipe clean only. Like Nellie's is very much stained. I would never give it to somebody else. I might use it in our home, but I would never give it to somebody else gifted, because I'd be ashamed of the state it's in. Whereas this one, you can wash it and it comes up looking like new. The other great thing about this bouncer, and whilst it's maybe slightly pricier than others, it's not as pricey as the vibrating swings and things like that, but this bouncer does vibrate, and it's done on battery power. We haven't tested that out again, Nellie was too old for that particular function, but it does have the battery pack that makes it vibrate as well. So yeah, it's definitely very versatile and really does last through the ages. The next product that I wanted to talk about, I've actually got here so I can show you this one, and that is the Nuby Rapid Cool. Now this is something that I didn't buy until, must have been June or July, so Nellie would have been about 4 or 5 months old, because I just didn't need to. I expressed milk, so we didn't use formula, and even when we did use formula, like as she got slightly older and it was recommended just to top her up with a little bit of formula, we just cooled it down at home, because I wasn't really going anywhere. Like if you remember the vlogs from last year, I was pretty much in the flat. It was so difficult to get out of the flat, and we were living in the middle of nowhere, so there was nothing really to do anyway. So yeah, I didn't really need to. Fast forward to the summer, obviously we had shows and things, and my main concern was at Riet, for example, because I knew I'd be using formula and I needed to cool it down, but we were there all day and it was all just a bit of a faff. So I did my research. Everyone recommended the Nuby Rapid Cool, and I honestly can't live without it. Like I feel quite sad now. We only use it once a day, because Nellie only has 1 formula bottle a day at the minute, which will soon be nothing. But yeah, absolute game changer. So basically this can cool down a bottle of formula within about 2 minutes, depending on the size. Because of the amount that Nellie has, it takes closer to 4 minutes, so bear that in mind. Definitely read the instructions. But you basically you make your bottle up as normal, you fill it into here, give it a good shake, wait the allotted time, then you can turn it upside down, wait, they normally recommend, I think it's like 10 seconds, something like that, and then if you just swipe across the top somewhere, I never know where the button's to, you can see it says Nuby in green. If it's not ready, it will be in orange, and you just wait a little bit longer and repeat the process, and then when it's green, you're good to go. Absolute game changer. Some people do the hot shot method within that, you know, which if that works for them, then that's absolutely fine. And I understand their reasoning for doing so, because once the formula hits this bottle, you've then got to wait 3 hours to be able to use it again once you've washed and sterilised it. So it can be a little bit of a faff that way. And I would probably, if it was me, I would probably buy a couple, 2 or 3 maybe, just so that I had one ready to use at all times. Because obviously sometimes babies want 2 bottles in the space of an hour, like that's just how they go. So yeah, maybe if I was going down the full formula route, I would do that instead. Hot shot methods, I tried the hot shot method once. Nelly didn't like it, so we gave up on that idea. So I'm not really able to comment on that side of it, but there are lots of posts and people talking about things. So yeah, I'm sure you'll find lots of information if that is something that you want to do, but definitely a game changer. I didn't use any of the flask. We just used a normal, what is it called? A thermos flask. It's a thermos flask, it's behind me. We just used a big one. It lasted the length of time, keeping the water as hot as it needed to be. So yeah, that just worked perfectly for us. But they do also do the flasks as well, which you can use to keep your water hot at the same time. But yeah, absolute game changer and would highly recommend. Sticking with the feeding, and obviously I mentioned about sterilising a minute ago, and there's some like conflicting information on a lot of the mum groups that some people think that because their baby picks things up off the floor and is like into everything, they feel like they don't need to sterilise their bottles anymore. And you really do. If you're using formula, you have to sterilise until you no longer use formula. Like Nellie's breakfast bottle, I don't have to sterilise anymore because it is normal cow's milk. Yes, I know I should be on a cup by now, but Nellie and cups just, it's not working at the minute, so I'd rather she just gets the milk that she needs, and one thing at a time we'll transition her over. So obviously sterilising, if you watched my vlogs when Nellie was a newborn, I use the MAM bottles, and they are self-sterilising. You stack them in a certain way, you put water in, put them in the microwave, and you can sterilise them that way, which was what I always planned to do. But I was getting so bogged down with the amount of bottles I was washing, sterilising. My hands were so sore. Like everything just felt wet and damp all the time because there was constantly like these bottles being sterilised. Yeah, and it really started to stress me out. So then again, thinking of like camping and things like that, we looked at alternatives, because whilst I think it was for Midlands was the first one we camped at, or like with our caravan, but we had electric for there, which was fine. So like I could use a microwave, things like that. But the second place we were going with the caravan, we wouldn't have electric, which is quite daunting when you have a young baby. So I did some research and things again, and stumbled across the Milton cold water steriliser. I had the Milton fluid, which I was very kindly gifted, which I use in the bath with some of Nellie's toys just to freshen them up. So that, you know, that worked well for that, and I was happy with how that worked. But the cold water steriliser, I really wish I'd done it from the beginning. I think it would have saved so much time, so much faff. I don't think I would have stressed so much. Yeah, I really rate it. We bought the bucket and the tablets. Obviously some people use their own tubs and buckets and things, but I just thought, you know what, just for ease of use, the bucket has the lines of where you need it to be. Like it's got a lockable lid on it. It's just easy. So we bought the whole thing, which I know some people say is a bit expensive, and it can be, because it can add up between £25 and £30, but for the amount we've used it, we've gained that money back and more, and I've saved on electric by not using the microwave. So yeah, highly recommend that. So it sterilises within 15 minutes. You just put everything, once you've washed it, put it in the steriliser with these tablets that have dissolved, and it sterilises it. The water stays sterile for 24 hours. You can either choose to leave the things in the water, or you can take them out. My health visitor basically said that as long as you're within your own home environment, that's the germs that they're kind of already susceptible to. So I use a drying rack, and the health visitor was fine with that. She said, you know, baby isn't going to get ill from that because they're in that environment anyway. Obviously if you're in a different kind of place, if I was abroad or something like that, I would perhaps leave it in the water until I needed to use it. But yeah, and then we just change the water every 24 hours. And I normally, just for my peace of mind, tie in changing the water with when I take my pill. So it kind of reminds me of both things, and we normally do that at 9 o'clock at night. And yeah, I just feel like that's my little routine, and yeah, it works. But yeah, you can sterilise basically anything in it. I've sterilised my pump stuff when I was expressing. We do the dummies in it, we do the bottles. The only thing I would say, if you use the MAM bottles, I don't know if I've got one that I can show you. I have. If you use the MAM bottles, definitely take them out after the 15 minutes. Don't leave them in, because otherwise it all wears off, which is a bit of a pain. But yeah, so that would be my only grimace with it. It can rub off the writing on certain bottles if you leave them in so long. So definitely bear that in mind. But yeah, once you've paid out on the bucket, it's just the tablets. They're so easy to get. They're widely available. You can get like big packets on Amazon. If you want smaller packets, Home Bargains do them at a fraction of the cost of anywhere else. So yeah, definitely take a trip to Home Bargains, but don't blame me if you buy loads of other stuff as well. Next up, let's talk about Nellie's Jumperoo type thing. I think you call them a jumper. I think Jumperoo is maybe like a specific brand, not entirely sure, but you get the gist of what I'm on about. Now, obviously, I am aware that they aren't always recommended, and you have to exercise caution with them, but I think as long as you're not going over like the 10-15 minute mark in a day, then it's not too bad. I think the issues mainly are when people put them in and leave them in for an hour thinking that baby's going to be okay. Like, you're not going to be okay. You wouldn't go on a cross trainer for an hour and feel absolutely fine afterwards, or not potentially damage yourself. So definitely bear that in mind. Some people say that it's not worth the money for how long they're in it, and I completely get where you're coming from. So if you want to skip this part, then obviously fair enough. But for us, we found it really, really beneficial, because when we started using it, Nellie couldn't bear weight. She couldn't really like jump around, I guess you would say. Admittedly, the first couple of times I put her in it, she screamed. She did not like it. And if I'm honest, we did it slightly before the 6-month mark, which obviously they say is jumpers are suitable for 6 months and above. So we were slightly early, but only by like 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't by much. But she did scream the first couple of times, and I think sometimes that puts people off. But we persevered, because in a nice way, she screamed when she first went into her cot. She screamed when she went into her new car seat. Like, things that are different and new are daunting, like even to adults, so let alone to a young baby as well. So it's definitely worth noting that I think you have to work at it. Like, we would put her in for a couple of minutes and then play peekaboo, or put her favourite toy in it, and you know, she'd like tap it on the head and things like that. And we kind of had to build up to it. But then once she was used to it, she was happy to go in it. We have always timed it. I don't know if we should have or not, but we've always timed it to put Danny Go on the TV as a little bit of motivation, and it keeps her entertained. And she actually bounces along to the music, which is very, very cute, especially when he does the bounce song. Like, it's just super, super cute to see her bouncing away and really happy. And in terms of development, I do think it has helped her so, so much. Her legs are so strong now, and I don't think it'll be too long before she's walking. But again, similar to the bouncer, that Jumperoo means that I can quickly go to the toilet. I can quickly make a cup of tea. Like, by the time I put her in, I've already boiled the kettle, so I'm not like, you know, it's usually me just putting like milk in and sugar. It's not me leaving her for like 10 minutes on her own. I keep an eye on her all the time. But yeah, and it's become a little bit of her routine. I don't quite know what the age or weight restriction is on the one that we use. It's probably going to tell me she shouldn't be in it. I don't know. Yeah, age range 6 to 12 months, but she's still using it at the minute, but I think that's because she's Diddy. She's short and she is very light for her age as well. So we're going to use it for a few more weeks at least. But again, just airing caution. But she loves it. She absolutely adores it. And yeah, we use it as her like daily exercise. So she'll have her milk, then she'll have her breakfast, and then we put her in there like as a little bit of a morning workout, you could say, before then sorting out the rest of the toys. And to be honest, that allows me, while she's in that, it allows me the time to just clear away the breakfast stuff. I don't wash it, I'm not away for that long, but I can just clear the breakfast stuff out of the way and set up her next activity around her whilst keeping an eye on her. But anyway, so the one that we have is, I've got to get this name right, it is the Baby Einstein Neptune's Ocean Discovery Activity Jumper and Bouncer. Play centre with removable toys, introduces numbers and colours, languages, 4 adjustable heights with 360-degree rotation and suitable for 6 months plus. They, as I film this actually, they've currently half price at £57 on Amazon. And as I film this is the day that it's going up. So if you're watching it anytime soon after it's gone up, then if it is something you want, definitely head over to Amazon because yeah, it's half price on sale. And currently it's actually the price I paid for it because it's £57, which is exactly what I paid for it. Normally £109.99. And also, just as a top tip, if you've got a baby wish list and you haven't used it, add it to your baby wish list first because you can get 15% off on top if you're using your wish list. So mega savings. But yeah, Nelly absolutely loves it. Like there's so many activities for her to do, and she's now started to reach out and grab like the fish and the little hanging booklet thing, which is super, super cute. She like bats the fish out the way, a bit like swing ball, I guess you would call it. She's definitely got more skill than me and Ash had at RIAT last year, that's for sure. But yeah, we bought it secondhand via eBay, but I did pay £57 for it. So it's amazing to see you can buy a brand new one at the minute for that price. I absolutely love it. And the great thing as well, you can, whilst you can't collapse it, like I think that's the issue. Jumpers are a lot of the time these big bulky things. Whilst you can't necessarily collapse it, you can take it apart, which is what we used to have to do at the flat, which was a bit of a faff, but it is doable. So yeah, definitely recommend. And I'll be sad when it's gone, to be fair, because Nelly she loves it so much. And then the last product that I thought I would talk about is the pram that we use. Prams are very personal, I think. Everyone's got their own brands that they particularly love. Some go for the more expensive brands because they seem plusher or nicer. Some go for the cheaper brands, you know, this, that and the other. And if you don't know, I worked at Mothercare for a few years, so I got to see a huge range of pushchairs, believe me, and I had to learn how to put them up, put them down, the different functions and all things like that. And I remember working there and being like, this is the pram I'm going to have when I have children. And then obviously Mothercare closed down whilst I was still there, and I was made redundant, and I was literally a bit like, well, that solves my pram issue, you know. But thankfully Boots took on Mothercare and a lot of their ranges as well. So the pram that I had in mind, I was able to buy, and that is the Mothercare Journey 4-wheeler. I bought it as a travel system. So in my set, it came with the chassis, which is like the wheels and the frame. It came with the pram top, and it came with the car seat, just like an infant car seat. It wasn't, you know, like a bigger car seat. It came with adapters, and it came with the rain cover, cozy toe, foot muff, all them types of things. It didn't come with a change bag, but I have seen that you can get bundles at the minute where you can get a change bag as well. But to be honest, I think change bags are something entirely different, and I feel like you need to get your own change bag. A lot of the time the generic ones that come with the pram aren't very good. You can't really fit much in it. There's not much space. They look great with the pram, but that's about it. So we went for the 4-wheeler, and it was a game changer, to be fair, again. So it's suitable from birth to 9 kg in pram mode, which is a maximum of 15 kg in seat mode. It is world facing or parent facing. You can do either or, and we actually swapped Nelly from parent facing to world facing in the middle of the Haynes Museum vlog. We picked her out, turned the thing around. It is so easy to do. I think because people see the price and they think that, you know, it's cheap, and it might be nasty, or it might not be any good. Like, I would buy it again tomorrow if we had another baby. The car seat is not super safe in a sense. It's safe, it has the testing, you know, it's not illegal or anything like that, but in terms of safety, it's not Isofix, it's not iSize or anything like that. It is just a basic infant carrier. However, if you're looking at travel systems, you will find that the majority of them are basic, because they're not going to put a really expensive seat in with a travel system when they're doing it at a basic price. So it's always worth bearing that in mind, that if you do go down the travel system route, the car seat is usually compromised. That is something that I very much learned in Mothercare, and I think is something that a lot of the time people don't realise. So yeah, bear that in mind. But we absolutely loved it. So it's height adjustable on the handles. It has all-terrain 360 lockable swivel front wheels with a full suspension. There is a large sun canopy with a sun visor protecting your baby whatever the weather. But there is also a parent viewing window to check in on your little one. There is an extendable basket with a magnetic pouch to keep your essentials safe. We actually use this as a little rubbish pouch, or you know, like when you go to shows or days out and things and people give you these leaflets that you don't really want but there's no bin nearby. It was always full of stuff like that. It had sugar in there, little bags of sugar from when we've been to the likes of McDonald's and things like that. Like, there was all sorts on there. There probably already still is all sorts in there, I dread to think. But there is also a 5-point harness with cushioned straps, a detachable bumper bar, reflective strips offering extra visibility, freestanding compact fold with removable wheels for ease of transport and storage. That also works really well when you want to clean it, and I promise you I have cleaned it in the time we've had it. It's just I haven't cleaned it recently. There is a quilted pram liner, an apron, cozy toes and rain cover. It is not suitable for overnight sleeping. There are 1 or 2 prams that are, but this is not one of them, so do bear that in mind. It does come with the adapters like I mentioned, so you can attach the car seat that comes with it onto the pram chassis, and that worked really well for us, because the hospital I gave birth at, the walk to the car park was probably about a mile. I just don't know how like if I'd have given birth vaginally, I don't quite know how I would have got there. It was bad enough with the C-section, but because we had the adapters, we put Nelly in the car seat and then put her in the pram, and I could wheel her out, which meant I could lean on the pram as well, which helped on that walk. And to be honest, it was an absolute game changer. When we were doing shopping, we just get her out in the car seat because we weren't going to be that long. We aren't currently a family that would spend hours looking around the shops. Like, we haven't got the money, we don't need the temptations. Like, we were very much in, out, this is our shopping list, stick to a budget, get it done, get home. So yeah, it was easy to do that. Obviously there is the recommendations about babies not being in a car seat too long, so again, bear that in mind. I'm not quite sure how it works with things like Doona, car seat things and stuff like that, because I've seen babies be in the car seat for like 6-7 hours at events, and I just think no. So definitely bear the safety recommendations in mind if you're using the adapters. The pram, as a lie flat carry cot, worked really well. It lasted nearly so long. I would say the only thing it's missing is the fact that there was no mattress as such. It comes with like a carry cot lining, which they say is the mattress, but we didn't think that was the best, so we actually used a Moses basket mattress which fitted perfectly inside, and I put Moses basket sheets on them as well, so it meant that the few times that Nelly had a punami when we were out, which was hard work, let me just say, it did mean that I could just take the Moses basket sheet off and wash it, because otherwise I'd have been trying to scrub at a pram. So yeah, we did make that adaptation. I'm not saying that it's recommended, please don't come at me, because I know a lot of the time they say it's just as it is how you should use it, and that's completely fine. I'm not advocating that you should definitely put a mattress in there. I'm just saying that's what we did to make it a little bit better, because it says it's full suspension, but I would say it's a little bit jolty, but I don't think realistically any pram is full suspension. There is a little bit of joltiness to all of them. But yeah, it worked really well. In terms of the height of the handle, obviously you can do it at different heights, and I'm 5'1", so I'm quite short, and if you try a lot of prams, you'll see that the handles on their shortest are still quite big, whereas this one was perfect. It was a perfect height, like my arms never ached, it was easy to push, it was bliss. And to be honest, I really miss it, because we now use a little stroller and it's just not the same, and I miss the pram. To be honest, under the mattress we used to put like a muslin and things like that where her feet were too. We used to store bits underneath, and now I've got nowhere to store anything. I have to actually physically carry it, and yeah, it's a nightmare. So I do definitely miss using the pram, but yeah, absolute game changer. And then there's different functions, so you can sit the top bit up, you can lower the bottom bit. It's the same carry cot that you use as a lie flat carry cot as a pram seat, whereas a lot of prams you get, especially travel systems, you have the car seat, then you have the carry cot bit, and then you have a separate pram seat, which is fine if you've got the space to store it, but it's a nightmare if you haven't, whereas this one is literally one seat basically does all, plus a car seat. So if you're limited on space, it is really helpful. And also we found during like when Nelly was like 6-7 months old and she was in her pram seat, if you like to call it that, if she was really tired or it was hot, like we went to several shows where it was really hot, and you would have seen I use a snooze shade. I could put it in carry cot mode, put the snooze shade on, and she'd have a nap for a couple of hours. And so it kind of worked better because it's versatile when you're out. Whereas I dread to think what it would be like if you're out and about somewhere, your child is in a pram seat version and you can't transfer it to a carry cot. I don't think I'd be able to cope. So yeah, so I definitely think having a pram with a functional seat like that is so much better than having all these separate pieces. So definitely worth bearing in mind. But that is everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. They are my 5 top products. I will try my best to link them down below so that you can have a look at prices and things like that. Definitely that jumperoo, if you want that jumperoo, definitely check it out because that is an amazing price. I'm tempted to do another video of these if you want me to, because I could definitely list another 5 products that we absolutely loved. One being the baby monitor, which if you wonder why I keep looking that way, it's because the baby monitor is there and Nelly's asleep. But yeah, there are some amazing products that we're still using that I would love to speak about if you think this video is interested in any way. But thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye bye.